to a quick video on VWP permit key. I'm Kevin Vaughan and I'm here with Sydney Von Wilson, an experienced DQ VWP permit writer who knows this topic inside and out. Thanks for being here, Sydney.
Hi everyone, glad to be here. If you're watching this, you're probably wondering if your project needs a Virginia Water Protection or VWP permit. We've created this permit key flowchart to help you by following a step-by-step path of yes or no questions that lead to specific permitting actions. At first glance, the decision tree might seem a little overwhelming, with decision points in blue and action steps in green. You'll also notice small chain link icons. These lead to external websites with more info if you need it. But don't worry, we'll walk through this together, so let's break it down. We start with, does your project site have surface waters? If the answer is no, then you're done. No VWP permit needed. But if yes, we continue to ask, will your project impact those surface waters? Again, if there is no impact, no permit is required. If there will be an impact, the next step is asking, are federal waters involved?
Yeah, Sydney, and just to reiterate, you mentioned that those little links on the page there, when they click those, that opens up more information like the regulations, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and I think that's really one of the best things about this permit key is that it gathers all the relevant information into one place and really puts it into context. So, okay, good. So far, so good. What's next?
Let's pick it up from federal waters and assume those are not being impacted. With no impact to federal waters, we move to decisions based on state waters only and start determining what kind of VWP permit might be needed. The first question here is, are surface water withdrawals proposed? If yes, a separate program handles those permits, and there's a different decision key for you to reference. However, there are projects that would need both an SWW permit and VWP permit. If your project is not withdrawing surface waters, or you have gone through the SWW process, either way, you would then ask, is your project an excluded or waived activity? If it is, no VWP permit is needed. But if the activity is not excluded, then you would have to ask, are tidal waters present on site?
Okay, let's take a look at tidal waters.
If tidal waters are on site, then you may need a VWP individual permit. If no tidal waters are on site, we then ask, are wetland impacts over 2 acres or stream impacts over 1,500 linear feet? If yes, again, you may need an individual permit.
So what if the project impacts are less than 2 acres or less than 1,500 linear feet?
If the impacts are less than those thresholds, follow the no arrow to the next decision point, in which you would want to check is if your activity qualifies for a general permit with 45-day coverage. There's a link here to help you understand that. If your project does not qualify for 45-day coverage, we move on to asking, what type of activity are you proposing? For residential or industrial development, it might fall under the VWP General Permits 1 or 4. With linear transportation projects, they may qualify for VWP General Permit 3. For utility projects impacting less than 1 acre, could qualify for VWP General Permit 2, or if over 1 acre, you're right back to an individual permit.
Okay, so let's take a look now at activities that do qualify for 45-day coverage.
If your project qualifies for 45-day coverage, we move to ask the same question of what type of activity are you proposing, and the permit actions are similar with the difference being in the processing timeline of that permit.
Okay, great. And now might be a good time for us to mention, Sydney, that you were also involved in developing a webinar learning series on VWP permits, right?
That's right. You can learn more about individual or general permits and mitigation requirements in our webinar series. It's available on the DEQ website. Also accessible from the DEQ website is the Virginia Water Protection Permitting and Compliance Manual, which is a tool to help better understand the DEQ permit writer decisions.
Excellent. I do highly recommend you check out the compliance manual and those VWP permit webinars. Okay, I think we're almost done, but we need to go back and look at the federal waters impact and where the U.S. Corps of Engineers come into it, right?
Yes, let's walk through that part of the permit key to wrap this up. So let's zoom out for the moment and examine the federal side of all these things. If your project does impact federal waters, you'll need to check whether a U.S. Army Corps of Engineers nationwide or regional permit applies to your project. If it does not, or if a Section 401 certification condition is not met, follow the two paths down and you're routed back to the VWP determination key as well as the Corps' permitting decision determination key. At this point, you'll again be asked about your wetland and stream impacts and if those cross a certain threshold, like over an acre of wetland or over 200 linear feet of stream. You may need a Corps individual permit. If the impacts are under those thresholds, the permit type depends on your activity. Residential, commercial, institutional, or recreational developments may be eligible for SPGP and RCIR permit, or linear transportation projects may be eligible for an SPGP LT permit.
Excellent. And the links there, they're provided, they'll take you to the Corps website for more information as well.
Yeah. So finally, back to the upper right area. If both Corps, nationwide, or regional permits are applicable and the Section 401 conditions are met, then the final decision point to ask is, are you constructing a gas pipeline project over 36 inches in diameter? If yes, both a nationwide permit and a VWP individual permit may be needed, along with the Section 401 certification. If no, then a Corps' nationwide permit may be the necessary permit action. That's all we have on the federal side.
Excellent.
So that's a quick tour of the VWP permit key. By following the yes or no questions and using the provided links where needed, you can find the right path for your project.
Oh, thank you, Sydney. That was really helpful, and breaking it down like that really makes it feel less overwhelming. So let's now take a look at where people can get some additional resources from.
At any time, you can go to the DEQ website, look for the page for permits and wetlands and streams. There's a lot of useful information as well as additional resources that will lead you to our VWP manual and VWP permit webinars.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Sydney, and thanks everybody for watching. Goodbye.